And we all saw what happened at the NFL draft, and we were shocked. We thought finally, for the first time since he was with the Packers, that Aaron Rodgers was going to watch his team give him some offensive help, right? As far as an offensive skill position player that they could draft in the first round, namely a receiver. And there were receivers available.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, we know they need them. They got Devontae Adams, and then they're looking from there. And now Devin Funchess is even sitting out because of the virus. So they needed some help. They were 13-3, got to the NFC Championship game. So Aaron Rodgers, the great Aaron Rodgers, is thinking, okay, we're going to get a young buck in here, and we're going to be improved for next year and have a shot to make a run at the Super Bowl. And what do? They go ahead and draft quarterback Jordan Love. And Aaron Rodgers seems to be, Jonas, after initially being admittedly upset about it, he medicated with a little tequila by his own admission. And now he seems to be at peace about it. Here's what he told The Ringer.
I think probably the former. I think that's probably what happens, based on, just the circumstances around everything. You look at just look at the facts. They traded up, they drafted him. I would say they like him. They want to play him. Now I think quarterbacks are playing earlier. It gives some latitude for young coaches and GMs to play their guys. And I get it. I really do. Like I don't harbor any ill will about it. Like, was I bummed out? Of course. Who wouldn't be? Like I wanted to play my entire career in Green Bay. I love the city. I grew up there. Really, got there when I was 21. I'm 36 now. A lot changes during that time. But look, I get it. I see it completely clearly, and I'm not bitter about it. It just kind of is what it is.
All right, he admitted he does not expect Jonas to finish his career in Green Bay. What do you make of this?
Well, it's one thing if they drafted a quarterback who was sitting there and they thought, look, similar to what the Packers did in 2005 when they took Aaron Rodgers. At that point in the draft, the best teams in the NFL always go by best player available. They say, who's the best player on the board? Green Bay in 2005 had Aaron Rodgers as their best player available, and they said, that's the guy we want. Green Bay traded up to get Jordan Love. So they got aggressive because they could not resist Jordan Love at that point in the draft at the back end of the first round. I have no issue with Green Bay drafting Jordan Love because I look at it like this. Beauty's in the eye of the beholder, and certain teams value certain players a little bit differently. Whether or not this is a big mistake, that's going to play out down the road. But what I think is going to play out immediately is the Aaron Rodgers you just heard there with Kyle Brandt is Aaron Rodgers saying, look, I know I'm not going to be here forever, and I think it's also Aaron Rodgers less likely to keep quiet if he's not happy with anything that is called on the sidelines at any point during a game last year. And that's where I think it's going to be fascinating because that offense last year was a run-heavy offense. Yep. They took the ball out of Aaron Rodgers' hands more than any other time in his career. And let's be honest, it's not like Rodgers was great last year. I know Rob Parker loved to hype up how bad Tom Brady was last year, and Brady couldn't do this and he couldn't do that. Man, let's not pretend that Aaron Rodgers was lighting up the NFL.
Thank you.
And we can look at box scores all we want, and we can be lazy and just say, well, what do you mean? Look at the number of interceptions in comparison to this. Watch the games. Aaron Rodgers looked as limited as he's ever looked in the history of his career, and I think you're going to get a motivated Aaron Rodgers, and I also think you're going to get an Aaron Rodgers who realizes, man, I'm out of here soon anyways. I'm not keeping my mouth shut. If I don't like what's going on, I'm going to speak up more so and maybe not be as passive-aggressive as I have been.
You make some good points there. Several I agree with, and I have been teaching Rob Parker about this, but he's hard-headed. You're right. First of all, let's get to the fact that Aaron Rodgers has not looked like Aaron Rodgers in a while.
No.
Right? In a while. Okay? And look, I love the fact that he doesn't throw interceptions, but some of that is that he throws it out of bounds a lot. Yeah. Rather than try to save a play or something. And I get it. That can be smart, but there's also an explanation for his low interception totals. That's what we'll just leave it at that. But he hasn't looked the same. And I think you bring up a great point because I looked at it initially, Jonas, when I saw this, and look, first of all, let me give him credit. He's right. He's being honest.
Yep.
I think he's being honest. He's right. You can't fault him for, in some ways you could say this is better than him holding it in, being bitter, maybe not, really treating Love right, like not helping him out in training camp and not giving him the benefit of his wisdom and knowledge and all of that stuff, not mentoring him, if you will. And then there's tension there. And so maybe you could say, okay, he got it out in the open. He knows that he's not finishing his career there. He knows Jordan Love was brought in to replace him eventually. Maybe they just put it out on the table. It's done with, and now they can go play football. That's one way to look at it. Another way to look at it, Jonas, is that this could motivate Aaron Rodgers. And you brought that up. Does this motivate him to say, you know what? One, let me go get another Super Bowl for Green Bay so I can prove, I already think he's proven it, but so I can prove to all the naysayers, the ones that are questioning me, that I am the best quarterback in franchise history.
Yeah.
Let me win them a Super Bowl. Let me show somebody else, right? Somebody else that I'm worth another huge contract, and I'll show Green Bay. I'll go somewhere else and continue to be an all-pro quarterback. Or I thought you brought up a great point that this could be trouble, because now if Matt LaFleur calls something he doesn't like, if they're not throwing the football enough, he might just be like, to heck with it. I'm going to say whatever the heck I want to say.
Damn right.
And you know what type of trouble that could cause in Green Bay.
Look, I think at a certain point, and sometimes it's not until after it all happens that you look back and you go, oh, well, there were signs that somebody was pulling away. Like that maybe it could be anything, whether, maybe less communication with your boss at work, and then you find out, oh, well, this was a long setup. They were trying to get rid of me a long time ago, or it could be a relationship or anything. If you actually go back and look at this, there have been signs and indications that Green Bay was slowly trying to maybe distance himself from Aaron Rodgers having all the control with the organization. His quarterback coach, all of a sudden, he's just gone. And Aaron Rodgers even said publicly, I'm a little bit surprised by that. I thought we could at least keep my guy. I thought we could keep him here. And they moved on from it. Then they hire Matt LaFleur. And I have heard from people I trust, Aaron Rodgers had no input in the hire at all whatsoever. If I'm Aaron Rodgers, I'm thinking to myself, that's interesting. Yep. And then there was a report that came out that the general manager said publicly to certain people out loud, Aaron Rodgers not going to be a problem with this one. We're not dealing with that again, meaning don't cause a rift between him and the head coach like he did with Mike McCarthy. So there have been signs throughout. And then the latest, they traded up and drafted a quarterback. And in today's NFL, drafting a quarterback and having him sit for 3 to 4 years doesn't make any sense when you can play him at a limited salary and you can go add pieces around him. I think he's gone sooner rather than later, and it's going to be one of the most fascinating storylines to watch, because I thought Green Bay overachieved a year ago. I didn't think they were nearly as good as everyone made them out to be. The narrative that they were one game away from the Super Bowl, you're just one game away. Man, did anybody watch that game against San Francisco?
They got wiped out.
They got disintegrated twice. So they weren't even close to being on the same level as San Francisco. And if a couple of things would have gone the other way, they would have lost several games last year. They were that close. I think this is something to watch, and if things start to go off the rails a little bit, I think we're going to see Aaron Rodgers maybe go rogue, and that'll be fascinating to see how Green Bay and Matt LaFleur deal with it.
Yeah, you're right. And when I first saw his quote, I thought, okay, he's got a foot out of the door. And does it, again, it could lead to him being incredibly motivated, or it could lead to apathy. And maybe not purposefully, but he is a sulker, is he not?
Oh, 100%.
Right? So
100%.
So he could, woe is me, look at what they did to me. They didn't give me any more help. they've got their eye on the exit for me, you know, and it could just go south in a hurry because he's not the same. And look, and you brought up that was a great job of running down all of the things that have led up to his exit.
Yep.
Okay, which seems inevitable at this point. And I'm going to say this. And look, I think you agree with me. Because I think Rob Parker's the only person on the planet who doesn't think Tom Brady's the GOAT. You know, I think Tom Brady's the GOAT. Okay,
I agree.
But
how it's even disputed blows my mind.
Right. Thank you. But if we're just talking physical ability, right? Throwing the football, you know, you can move and all of that stuff, athleticism, it's not even close.
Yeah.
Aaron Rodgers is superior, right?
Yeah, I asked Brady Quinn this one time. I said, who are the guys that just from a quarterback standpoint, because I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. I never played quarterback in the NFL, that you look at and go, oh, yeah, that's different. And he brought up a couple. He said, Aaron Rodgers, Patrick Mahomes, Cam Newton were a couple, but Aaron Rodgers was on that list of guys who makes a throw and you go, the hell is that, man? Like how does that happen?
No question. But and Rob and even a few others give me crap over this. I am big, Jonas, on the intangibles. I think that's what has made Tom Brady the GOAT. I know, of course, he's got to do it physically too, but he's a leader. The guys respect him. He's coachable. You know, he's smart out there.
Yeah.
You know, he can galvanize his guys and get them charged up. You know, he doesn't crack under pressure. And Joe Montana, who Rob thinks is the GOAT, and he's in the discussion. If there's anybody in the discussion with Brady, it would be Joe Montana. Same thing.
Yeah.
The intangibles. That's what the things you mentioned. The fact that in his prime, he was still one of the greatest quarterbacks in the league, that they were looking to replace him, and all of the things that came out, to me, it's just more evidence that the reason he doesn't have more Super Bowl rings, and I know we can talk about their defense, and there's truth there. We can talk about them not getting him the best supporting cast. There's truth there. But I don't think he's had the intangibles like the greatest, you know, like a Montana and like a Brady either. Yeah. And I think that's been a problem.
Yeah, and look, it's not like Green Bay hasn't had opportunities. I mean, Aaron Rodgers' numbers in NFC title games are bad. I mean, even the one that he won. Look, that game against the Bears, they were on their third-string quarterback. I remember Peanut Tillman, who was a cornerback for the Bears, really good NFL player. When Jay Cutler went down with that knee injury, Peanut Tillman said the guys on the team weren't mad at Jay Cutler. They were mad at Todd Collins, the backup, because he was scared and wanted out of that game. That was Aaron Rodgers, who just barely got by a third stringer in Caleb Haney to get to his Super Bowl. So we can say all we want about, well, you know, he didn't have this and he didn't have that. Okay, but when he did and he was there, he hasn't performed like Tom Brady. And to your point on the intangible stuff, look, who's a better athlete at power forward, Blake Griffin or Tim Duncan?
Griffin.
100%. Who you taking to start a team?
Yeah, of course, Duncan. Right,
and
that's
right. It's just, it looks different.
Steph
it's not
Curry.
As flashy.
How many guards got more ability than him?
Yes, 100%.
Other than shooting, yeah.
So I just wonder, and also the injuries. Aaron Rodgers has been banged up a bunch. And we all tried to play the whole, clearly it was Mike McCarthy's fault. Okay, well, we're going to find out because now you get away. You've got a more difficult schedule because you finished in first last year, and now you've got some real stuff going on there that Mike McCarthy's got nothing to do with. We're going to find out what really was the story behind the scenes.
All right, we're going to see what you guys think about Aaron Rodgers' predicament, if we can call it that, in Green Bay. All right, let's start with Max, otherwise known as Rob Jr. in Georgia. Max, what's up?
What's up, fellas? What's up, Jonas?
What's up, man?
Hey, this is an interesting topic, and you guys nailed it. For me, this is interesting because he could be on the market as soon as this year. It may not even be after Jordan Love takes over. This seems to be the trend. It seems like franchise quarterbacks don't matter anymore to organizations. That seems to be the trend. His numbers have been down. You know, I don't want to say this, but he met a wonderful woman a few years ago named Danica Patrick, and when that happened, things changed. And a woman can make your mind change, and it's not always for the best. But I think he was a little bit confused about what he wanted to do in his life, where he wanted to be, and who with. And I think some things are clearing up, and I think hopefully he can come back, get to a new team, get back on the grind, and close this chapter out in a good way.
Well, him and Danica Patrick broke up recently. I don't know if anybody else saw that.
So that means he's in for a bounce back year.
Yeah, so
that
now he's got a clear mind.
He's gonna have more energy.
That's the thought. You know what? This does bring up an interesting point though, because I remember seeing this and thinking it was pretty telling. And I think Kevin Durant said something similar to this. But Aaron Rodgers talked about how he was on the plane ride home from the Super Bowl after they beat the Steelers. And he said he remembered sitting there, with the Lombardi trophy and just kind of thinking to himself, is this it? Like, is this, I've been,
Durant.
Yep. I've been chasing this thing and chasing this thing. And now that I got it, it's like, this isn't what is fulfilling to me. And after I heard that, I just remember thinking to myself, and I've always felt like Aaron Rodgers doesn't seem like the type of guy that's going to go down to the nub like Peyton Manning or potentially Tom Brady or somebody that's just just gonna ravage himself and play until he's in his mid-40s.
I say even a Mahomes. Oh, okay, you're talking about retire. I was thinking about is winning like 110% important to you on a scale, 1 to 100?
Yeah, because it seems like he viewed that as sort of an eye-opening experience of, maybe there's something more that I'm, in pursuit of, and maybe it's not just this. And so, he does these different excursions during the off season. If you read up on him, to where he goes to these all over the world, and he studies he goes to like the pyramids in Egypt and places like that, like just looking for answers outside of football. I just don't think football is everything to him like it is to a guy like Tom Brady. Not that that's wrong. That's how I feel.
In a lot of ways, that's healthy.
Yeah, I agree.
You know what I mean? In real life, that's healthy. You shouldn't define yourself. We love what we do, obviously.
Yeah.
But you really shouldn't define yourself by your job. You should.
True.
Because like if I have a bad day, obviously it's tough, but I don't let it ruin me. You know what I mean? Like you can't, I don't think that's healthy. But what I'll say is that that is maybe the difference, is that he isn't, there's people like this in every industry, Jonas.
Agreed.
There are people that are driven, they are obsessed with being the absolute best. And you've seen it sometimes, whether it's radio, TV, just broadcast or print journalism, whatever. Sometimes people may be great at something, but if that's their attitude, it's not that healthy. They're not that fun to be around, or, they're just, it's not healthy. Sometimes it can be, but my point is that in every field of endeavor, some people are just obsessed with being the best, and some people are happy. They love it. They enjoy it. But, it's not going to kill them if they aren't regarded as the GOAT.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
It's like after they lose the game, don't worry. They've got these other interests and things outside of the game that are going to keep them, as intrigued and in touch with what they're trying to pursue as football once did. There's some people that handle it better and some people that don't. And after hearing that quote from him, I just wondered, man, how long is he going to do this for? Because we can say,
he has said he wants to play into his 40s.
Yeah, he says that. But if you had to bet right now, do you think Aaron Rodgers, based on the injuries and what we've seen, is a guy who's going to play into his 40s? Was he 36 now?
Here's what I'll say. I hear you, but I've also heard guys say that, like, earlier in their careers, talk like they got so many other interests. I might step away. And then some, when that time comes, they're not ready.
Yeah.
They end up playing longer than we thought they would because, they realize how much they love it. Maybe too little, too late. But let's go to Phil in Virginia Beach. Phil, you're on with Chris and Jonas.
Hey, what's up, guys? Thanks for taking my call.
Yep.
I wish Rob was on the line. That way I could trash him. But Aaron Rodgers is going to try to scoot his way out of Green Bay because he thinks he's better than Green Bay. He thinks he should be Tom Brady, even though he only has one ring, and he barely got that.
In one appearance,
I think he's going to find his way out of Green Bay. I don't know when or how, but to be honest with you, if I'm Green Bay, I want him to go too. It's time to move on. I mean, they had a great year last year, but I mean, his playoff record's pretty bad. So I think it's time to move on from him, and it could be a good mutual breakup.
If I'm them, if he doesn't like implode or just blow up the locker room this year, and say they go 10-6, 11-5, whatever, get to the playoffs, maybe lose in the second round or even the conference championship, but they're not that close, kind of like this year.
Yeah.
I probably move on. If Love looks pretty good, you know what I mean? Like he's ready, I probably move on. Because it's been, 11 years since or 10 years now since they even got to a Super Bowl.
Yeah, and look, I mean, and you can go back to, this is where the Mike McCarthy, Aaron Rodgers relationship started to take a turn. You remember that NFC title game against Seattle? I think it ended up being the Seattle Super Bowl that Malcolm Butler picked off Russell Wilson at the the Patriots Seahawks. But if you remember, there was no way Green Bay should have lost that NFC title game at Seattle. There was no way. And I remember there was a point during that game where McCarthy and Rodgers were going at it on the sidelines over a play call. Turns out they ended up one of the worst, gag jobs that we've seen in a long time. And they've gotten back to an NFC title game, and they've gotten back to a couple of them, but it just never felt the same with McCarthy and Rodgers. And then in the first year, you look at Green Bay and you go, man, first year, and it's Matt LaFleur, and he's taken over. But if you go back and watch that team a year ago, that was a run-heavy offense, and Rodgers was more or less there to manage the game and make a throw if they absolutely had to have it. He wasn't the focal point of it, which makes them more likely to be okay turning the keys over to Jordan Love if he's not going to have to control the entire offense like Rodgers didn't a year ago.